Hi, welcome to Mat140 College Math. In this lesson, we're going to learn about 8.4 sinking funds, and we're not going to spend too much time on this and get into a whole bunch of details, we're just going to keep it kind of basic. What are sinking funds? Well, sinking funds are basically the fixed monthly payment you're going to have to pay for something to reach a certain amount of money in a certain amount of time. So maybe you want to buy a car and it costs so much money and you want to pay pay it off in 6 years, then the sinking fund would be the payment that you're going to be making. So to do this, this is actually 8.4b. We did A, but we're going to use the same formula. So let me write down the formula again. A is the amount that you want to get at the end. How much money do you need? How much is this car going to cost you? Or this, you want to save up so much money. It's going to be, well, first of all, we better put a big old R here. That's what we're trying to solve for. This is going to be the amount of money that we're going to try to make a payment on. This is going to be the payment amount. I should put it that way. 1 plus, this is the rate of interest, R, and this is the number of times you're making this rate of interest. It could be quarterly, it could be anything. We'll put an M because usually it's monthly, but sometimes it isn't. So we want to put down just a letter there. That's the number of times it's compounded. N is the number of years, and I'll write this out in a second. Number of years times the number of months. And then this is going to be minus 1. Then this is all going to be over R minus M again. So let me write down. A is the amount that you're trying to save up for. This is the total amount. Let's just put it this way. R, big R, capital R, is your payment. Maybe we could kind of do it that way, it'd be a little bit easier. That's what we call a sinking fund. You're sinking your money into a fund or into something. Okay, R is the rate. And remember, rate always, it's going to be a percent, and you need to change the percent to a decimal. You have to change percent to a decimal. M is the number of times it's compounded. It sounds real hard. You'd be surprised. It's not as tough as it looks. N equals the number of years times M, the number of times it was compounded. Of course, ones are part of the formula. So these are what all this stuff in here is about. Okay, so let's try a problem and see if we can figure it out. I got one here. Let's see. Okay, we'll try this one. You wish to save $1,800 in a sinking fund in 2 years. You want to get this money out. It's going to be, maybe this is an investment, and they're going to give you 6% compounded quarterly. What are your quarterly payments? If it's compounded quarterly, you're probably making your payments quarterly. Okay, so you want to save up for $1,800. So let's start out with A. We're going to use this formula right up here. I'm going to slide this up a little bit so we can see the formula, and I'll help you out. A is the amount that you want to save up, $1,800. R is what we're trying to find. Okay. 1 is, of course, 1 plus little r is the rate of interest, which is 6%. So what we have to do over here, I'm going to put off to the side, 6%. We need to change it to, we're going to move the decimal 2 places to the left. That's 0.06. And we're going to divide that. I'm not going to write it down yet. And we're going to divide it by the number of times it's compounded, which is 4. So what we want to do, wherever we see an r over m, we want to calculate this out right away, so we don't have to do it while we're doing our calculations. It bogs you down. Let's turn this on. Clear this out. 0.06 divided by 4. 0.015. So that's what r over m is going to be, 0.015. How did I get that? Not 6 divided by 4, 0.06 divided by 4. So we're going to write that down right here. 0.015. Okay, then we're going to raise it to a power. And the power we're going to take it to is the number of years, how many years. So n is equal to the number of years, which is 2, times how many times is it compounded in a year, which is 4. So it's 2 times 4 is 8. Then we're going to subtract 1. This reduces it back to kind of like a decimal. And we're going to take this whole thing and divide it by r over m again. And we know what that is, 0.015. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, copy this stuff down. We're going to try to do this in the parentheses. So I'm going to start off using my calculator. I'm going to write it pretty much the way it's written, right? Just the way it's written down here. Parentheses, 1 plus 0.015. Let me put this where you can kind of see it a little bit better. There we go. Maybe even a little bit higher. Raised to, let's finish the parentheses, raised to the 8th power minus 1. Now I like to just go ahead and hit equal here so that I can see what that came out to be. And I'm going to divide that by the 0.015. Okay. And it depends on how many places you want to write this out. So now I'm going to write this number down here, 8.4328. That should be totally accurate, 4 decimal places. So we're going to divide this by 8. Now what I'm going to do, when you have the variable and the number on the same side, we're always going to divide off the number, which is called the constant. We're going to divide that off. And we're going to divide that both sides by that number. And this should give us our answer for R. So we're going to have to re-enter that. That's going to be 1,800 divided by this number, 8.4328. And I come up with $213.45. The book said 46 cents, but we're pretty close. You know, you can be off a few pennies. And that's how I did it. So let's go through this again. Okay, I wrote the $1,800 down because that's how much we want to make. Now, remember, you're doing this every 3 months. You're putting this money in every 3 months, 4 times a year. You're not putting this in every month. This is quarterly. So let me go over this again. Wish I could kind of zoom in here so you can kind of see. I can probably lift it up so you can see. I'm putting 1,800 hours in to the formula 1 plus, how did I get to 0.015? Change 6% to a decimal and divided by how many times is it compounded? 4. And I just put in that factor. And how did I get this n up here? 2 years quarterly. 2 times 4, 8. And then minus 1. I just put it in my calculator that way. I hit enter right here when I finish this line. Then I hit divide, 0.0145, and I came up with this value. So I divided both sides by this value, 1,800 divided by that, and that gave me my R, and that's what I'm trying to do. If both these numbers are on the same side, you divide it off. Okay, let's try another one. Here you have a car. You're going to buy a car, 25,000. This is usually how they do it. Of course, it's done by computer. 3% is the interest rate. This is how much interest they're charging you. You're going to make monthly payments. And you're trying to figure out what they are. What are your monthly payments? You're going to do this for 6 years. And you want to figure out, what is my monthly payment? So it's compounded monthly. In other words, your interest is accumulated every month on this. So the reason they use sinking funds for cars is because the interest goes to the account first. So when you're buying off a car initially, you're paying off most of the interest, just like a home. You're paying off the interest. A mortgage works the same way. Then finally, when you get about the halfway point, you start paying off the car. So it's kind of a gimmick, you know. But let's try it and see what we can do. So how much is this car going to cost you? 25,000. That's going to be your A. Equals. And what we're trying to find out what your payment, you think it would put a P, but they put an R. Okay. Parentheses. 1 plus, okay, let's figure out R over M. The monthly payment is 0.303. See, I changed it to a decimal, and I'm going to divide that by 12. And that will give me R over M. So 0.03 divided by 12, not times, divide. 0.00. Now, this is very important that you put it as 0.0025 and not, 25 or 0.025, 2 zeros. We're going to raise that to what power? Let's try to figure out N. N is equal to the number of years, 6 years, times how many times it's compounded, 12. So basically 72 months. And then you're going to subtract 1 when you get done. Then you're going to take this whole mess and divide it by this. I should have written it up here, 0.0025 again. .0025. That's where you want to do because it happens twice in the problem, it's just faster. Kind of what we did last time. So now I'm going to go to work on my calculator. 1. Let's put the parentheses first. Parentheses. I'm going to put it up here so you can see. Right here. 1 plus, what are we doing? 0.0025. Kind of shaky here. Parentheses. We're going to raise it to a power. Raised to the, I didn't want to go to the second, so I'm going to hit my reverse key. I guess I will have to put this down. I know it's kind of small there. Raised. It's going to be raised to the what power? 72, huh? Not 2. So we need a raise key. Don't just put a 72. Raise to the 72. And then we're going to subtract 1. Always 1. We add 1, we subtract 1. Equals. Okay? Now we're going to do the bottom. We're going to divide that by 0.0025. All right, so I'm going to jot this down, carry it out. If I carry this out, 4 places, okay. Now, see how this is a 3 and an H behind it? I could leave it a 3. I'm going to round it up to a 4 for more accuracy. I'm going to round up. The number behind the 3 is pretty large. 0.779. It should be a 3 or a 4. It comes a 4. Now, that's the number I'm going to divide by. Both sides. The reason I'm dividing is because I want to get R all by itself. This number divided by this number is going to be 1. This just becomes a 1 times R is R. Now let's see what this becomes. 25,000. Make sure you get your zeros right, divided by 78.7794 equals $317.34. And this is what we would call your monthly payment. Okay, and that's all you're going to do on these problems. We're not going to worry about time and all that kind of stuff. We're just going to worry about finding what your monthly payment is going to be. So that's all the video is going to be, kind of a shorter one. Maybe I can get this to end.